everyone. Today on the Fireside podcast, I'm joined by Savannah Clarke and Pam Bartlett of the Muskoka Steamships and Discovery Center. And today we're sitting in their facility, which you can see is a beautiful space. And I was lucky enough to get a tour, which I'll highlight in a video after. But thanks so much for having me on.
No, thank you for having us.
Thanks for being here.
No, I really appreciate it. There's so much cool stuff going on and got the full tour. And wow, it's just incredible just learning about everything. But I would love to learn about the origin of the Muskoka Steamship and Discovery Center, kind of how it first started.
Yeah, great. So we actually started with the steamships, and I'll let Pam talk about the steamships, and then the Discovery Center came after.
Perfect.
So the steamships have always been a huge part of Muskoka history because the roads weren't very good. So it was the ships were an integral part of transportation on the lakes for freight, people, and mail. And today we have 3 in our fleet, and the Seguin is the only remaining coal-fired steamship carrying the Royal Mail ship. She's only one of 3 in the world operating still today.
Wow. Yeah, like just mail, that it's such a crucial service, but at a certain point in time, Canada Post wasn't operating with with vehicles. It was all done by water. I have a million questions about the mail, but when it comes down to it, would just have a predetermined route. Would they stop at different marinas or would it be residences?
Some of it was residences. The resorts were a huge part of Muskoka.
Yeah.
And there would have been predetermined routes, and there was a whole different fleet and a couple of different companies throughout the years that operated on the lakes. And fire was a big issue for the steamships because of the coal.
Yes.
So over the years, many of them burned and were replaced. And, as the roads and the rail improved, then the steamships, the necessity wasn't feasible to keep operating. And so most businesses went out of business.
I was just going to say that obviously the steamships have been running for, like Pam said, for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And it sort of became synonymous with Gravenhurst.
Yeah.
And 20 years ago, this building had its first incarnation where it was a place where people came and learned more about the steamship history. So, the area that I showed you going to the boathouse.
Yeah.
That was sort of the vibe. Like the exhibits were really more about steamship history, like what it was like to be on the steamships, what the purser's life was, like, things of that nature. And the building was more about the history of that. And then it sort of slowly became about boats and the antique boats, like the boathouse that I showed you. And now we sort of morphed into more of a museum/cultural hub where, yes, we still talk about the steamship's history and it's so vast and there's so much history just in Muskoka.
Yep.
But now we've, grown into speaking more about the Indigenous history, about sustainability, just like how we saw the Watershed Wonders and Love Muskoka, Sustain Muskoka, which is our newest exhibit that's opening in July. So in the last 20 years, this building, Muskoka Discovery Center, has seen a lot of different faces and even different names. So we're sort of constantly reintroducing ourselves, and hopefully this is the last introduction. And now it's just about, people getting to know what we do in the space and what excites people to even come again and again and again. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Like water travel is so interesting because there's a whole ecosystem you're traveling on top of.
Yeah.
And making sure that you can protect that and honor that while displaying these amazing historical vessels that you have.
Yeah.
There's so many different parts to that story and different key pieces of the puzzle that you need to make sure are all being placed in the right spots.
Yeah.
And lakes are a huge part of Muskoka living for a lot of people for different reasons. And I think you do a fantastic job here of telling that story and really getting that point across of the rich history that comes from lake travel and making sure that it's protected.
And you can see over there, it says like over 2,000 lakes, rivers, streams, and wetlands connect and define Muskoka. Like that is like, 2,000 of it. So we barely scratch the surface of it. But, moving forward, we're trying to do more to sort of just speak more about Canadian natural landscape and different aspects of the space. So like I mentioned, our movie nights, our Friday movie nights. Last Friday, we had an amazing film called Voices Across the Water, which discussed 2 boat makers, one in the Yukon and one in Alaska, building different types of boat. One was a birch bark boat and the other one was a dugout. And this next film is called Water Life, and it talks about like the super complicated and complex systems of the Great Lakes. And so all the films this month are from the National Film Board.
Yeah.
And they all touch on history and culture, but also the Canadian aspects of
Yeah.
water and boats and indigenous communities. So those are things that we also try and do as well, which is activate the space to further educate people
Yeah.
and be a place where people can learn and connect. Because a
For
lot of the
sure.
people who came to the first movie night were boat builders. So they
Oh.
were also just like, wow, like,
Yeah.
I restore boats, but I don't think I can spend 60 days digging into a tree,
Yeah.
So it's really cool. And then other people, they had no idea. They just heard about it and they wanted to see, what the film was about.
Yeah.
Especially because of how nice the screen is that we have. We have a 16 by 9-foot LED screen. And so it's perfect.
You can't get that at Best Buy.
Yeah, it's perfect for a movie. And
Yeah.
so hopefully we'll continue doing those movie nights and showing Canadian films in the space as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's so cool because you're getting people from all different walks of life coming together to
Yeah.
appreciate the movie. And
Yeah.
from there, really interesting conversations can happen because someone who maybe doesn't know anything about boat building runs into somebody who builds boats. And maybe
Yeah.
that sparks a passion for them learning how boats are built. And maybe they take it up as a hobby as well. But
Yeah.
getting a bunch of interesting people in the same room is always a recipe
Yeah.
for a good time.
June 26th is National Canoe Day, and we're having a special presentation about what made canoes so special prior to what we know them now, which is leisure. How did people used to use them before, which was transportation,
Yep.
economy, it was everything, mail, and also what goes into the craft of
Yes.
building a birch bark canoe. And then also where the birch bark came from, which is the boreal forest. So that's on June 26th, and that's no extra charge. It's just the admission fee to the museum. So that's another way that we sort of can get people in the space to learn more, but also maybe people do know and they're just like, they want to be a part of that space.
I'd love to come along. So when I was younger, I used to canoe competitively.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
you see the folks that kneel on the canoe. So that's what we used to do. It's a really interesting heritage with canoes. And like you touched on, like people nowadays, they use the fiberglass to reinforce canoes and they paddle around the dock. But for a long time, it was a primary method of transportation.
Yeah.
And yeah, talk about not an easy method of transportation either.
No.
But being able to learn about that in a space where there's experts all around and you can ask the questions that you want to find answers to. It's a really cool place to be able to have that experience.
Yeah. Really, really awesome.
Yeah. When I was driving in here, actually, there's a song by Gordon Lightfoot. It's The Sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald. And that played on the radio. I grew up down the street from Lake Ontario. But just to think about how not very long ago, that was like a big body of water to sail. And like people would go out there and it was not crossing the ocean, but how watercraft has played a pivotal role in the economy's growing and where cities are and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's really interesting stuff.
Yeah, it is. And then I think we spent a lot of time in Muskoka, which that also ties back into it as well, which is the indigenous communities, the indigenous nations that lived in Muskoka. They were the ones who sort of passed that knowledge down when it comes to canoes and learning that science of how to build a canoe from birch and then also how to, sustain it for generations and generations.
Yep, that knowledge transfer. And it only gets passed along if people pass it along.
Yeah.
So that's super important and super crucial, is making sure that the next generation's well equipped to carry that forward and to make sure that the next generation after them can continue doing it. That's really cool. So
can I also mention, since we were talking about Muskoka, which I do not want to forget, is that Jack Payette and our cultural interpreter for the space is here every Thursday this summer from 1 to 4. And if it's not him, we have a few other people as well who sort of fill in. And he's in the space. What he likes to say is that he brings the stories to life. Like he sort of turns the 2D into 3D. So when you come on Thursdays and he's here, you can ask him questions, or he will take you on a tour and actually like walk through and show you certain things that maybe are not written on the walls, but they have stories, which is so amazing. And I think it's a privilege for us to have those connections with somebody who directly knows the stories and is a knowledge and a story keeper and a storyteller,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, like you said, telling the stories that aren't necessarily highlighted on like your walls are covered with great information, but
Yeah.
there's things that just can't be included or maybe weren't included. But having somebody who's able to really walk through that and has the
Yeah.
expertise to talk about it knowledgeably is
Yeah.
super important.
And some stories are oral too. Yeah, bring it to life. Yeah, bring it to life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So every Thursday this summer, 1 to 4, we have someone in the space sort of activating it. And like Pam said, bringing it to life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pam, question for you. When it comes down to the Steamship Discovery Center, you've got 3 different ships. Maybe just a little bit of background information on each ship to just kind of explain to our audience what sets them apart and what makes them special.
Sure. So the Winona is a diesel engine steamship, and she's our largest ship, and she has a regular schedule this summer. Wanda was Lady Eaton's former personal vessel, and she was restored and electrified a couple of years ago. And you saw her space. She lives here at the Discovery Center in her own boathouse. And then we have the Seguin, which is our flagship, and the Seguin's very special. She's the only functioning coal-fired steamship left in North America, and she's currently undergoing a $2.7 million restoration project. She hasn't had any major work done since the 70s, and this project will allow her to sail for the next 30 years without any major restorative work. So another generation can enjoy Muskoka and feel what it was like in the 1800s, being transported to a private residence or to a resort or delivering the mail out on the lakes.
That is so neat because, what a unique piece of history to just have access to. Like the only coal-powered steamship in North America is quite the title. And to have that so close to home, that's really neat.
And we're actually have launched a fundraising campaign so everyone can get involved. We want to build the community of supporters for the Seguin, and you can find out more about it at realmuskoka.com. The campaign's called Come Aboard, Canada's Living Legacy, because she really is Canada's living legacy.
Yeah. I hear there's a hat.
And there is a hat for donations of more than $100 and recognition on our donor board that will be installed in the coming months. This relaunch is planned for the end of the summer, Labor Day. So we're anxiously hoping that we can meet those deadlines and bring her back to life.
Yeah. Now you're telling me about the restoration project and what different ships require, but keeping a ship going that's been in service for that long has to be quite the effort.
Yeah, and I've lived here all my life and I've always known the ships, but becoming part of the organization and seeing firsthand the dedication and the time involved in it's really all consuming. It's this whole microculture of taking care of these vessels.
Yeah, no, I have to. I haven't been out on a trip yet on one.
Ooh, I get you.
But I am feeling awfully inspired right now to get out there.
And we have a wide range of cruises. We have charters, so you can have a private cruise. We have lunch, dinner cruises, high tea, live music with Peter's Players. We have
something for
sightseeing
everyone.
Cruises. There's overnight. Those have been they were sold out this year, but there is a cancellation list, so you might still get one.
I'll put my name on it.
Yeah, so we go to that's the true experience because you come here, you get on the boat, and she takes you to a resort for the night. You have dinner, and then she returns you here the next day. So that is sort of the experience that a lot of people would have had going on summer vacation in the 1800s.
And for those that don't know Muskoka geography particularly well, what is the body of water that the Discovery Center looks onto?
Lake Muskoka.
Muskoka.
Yeah. And Lake Muskoka is we go through the locks in Port Carling on a lot of our cruises. So you get the experience of going through the locks.
That's cool.
And then part of the system is Lake Joseph and Lake Rosso as well.
Yeah. You cover everything. That's really neat. That's so cool. Yeah, no, there's such a rich heritage there. And with the ships, I'm picturing they probably chug along at a steady pace. Do you know how quickly they usually travel?
You know what? I'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
But it's something that I don't even think that you think about when you get on the ship. It's just sort of the feeling of being transported into the past. It's a really special feeling.
Yeah.
I think Wanda's kind of fast, right? Isn't that her thing?
That was Lady Eaton, yes, because Lady Eaton wanted the fastest boat at the time. Yeah, so the Wanda was built for speed. Now she's been electrified. I'm not sure that we race her around, but...
No. Who is Lady Eaton?
The Eaton's family, like the Eatons.
Oh, Eaton's.
Yeah, the Eaton's department store.
Yeah. I get it now. Talk about Canadiana.
Yeah. And there's an exhibit here in the museum on the Eatons.
Oh, that's so neat.
Part of Muskoka history.
For sure.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy. Yeah, that must have been quite the undertaking at the time to make the fastest steamship. And yeah, got to get to the dock, you know? You come up from the city, you want to be dockside as quick as possible. That would be my
luxurious. It has what would have been her, her private parlor.
Yeah.
And then other areas. So not only did she have her own yacht, she had her own parlor on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you might be wanting to throw a party from when you're getting on to getting off, and you want to make sure you have everything for everyone. That's great. If folks are looking to learn more about the Muskoka Discovery Center and the steamships, what would be the best place for them to tune in?
We have a huge Facebook and social media, Instagram following. There's information on there all the time. And then our website, realmuskoka.com. Savannah, do you have anything to add to
Yeah, I would say yes. You're right. I would say our social media, so Muskoka Discovery Center and Muskoka Steamships, and then also our newsletter, which promotes news from both the Discovery Center and the steamships. And like Pam said, our website, which is realmuskoka.com. In terms of our events and programming, we're going to be having events every month, anywhere from lecture series. We have a third age learning lecture series coming up for July, August, and September, which is in partnership with Lakehead. We have our Friday movie nights. We're going to be doing some youth nights. I'm planning some karaoke for the youth, or we're going to do some trivia nights. And we're looking to do more live events and open mics and things of that nature. So definitely, and the ghost stories. Yeah.
the ghost stories?
Yeah. The ghost stories, which is in partnership with Autumn Smith, who runs Timber Beast Productions. And that's going to be happening all summer as well. So, and I haven't been, so I'm really excited because she ties in the historical facts of the area, Gravenhurst and Muskoka, and then talks about different, legends and
what's haunted in Gravenhurst.
Basically. So there's a lot going on. So you can definitely find us on social media, realmuskoka.com. You can also check out our Eventbrite. Muskoka Discovery Center has a Eventbrite.
I know, I've been on, yeah.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yes. So we update every time we have a new event. We'll always be updating our Eventbrite as well. And you can also rent the space as well. We do event rentals. We spoke about that a bit off camera.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're interested in actually having an event here, whether it's a wedding or it's a conference or, like you said, like a marketplace or, the space is sort of like a black box where you can sort of move things around and make it whatever you'd like. You could also rent the steamship as well for a charter, or you can do steamships and us.
Yeah.
We're together in it. So there's a lot of room as well. People have ideas for their future events.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both for coming on.
Oh my gosh,
I really
thank
do
you,
appreciate
Sean.
it.
Yeah.
For those that maybe don't have their notepad handy, I'll be sure to include all of that information on how you can learn more in the episode notes below. But thanks again. I really do appreciate you both coming on. That was great.
Thanks for visiting.
Yeah.
No
Thanks for
problem.
coming.
No problem.